looks like we are just getting stomped on as I anticipated. Hello everyone and welcome to another Dihan video. My name's Dihan. Today we're going to be looking at a Ramattra player on a push map. This is Plat gameplay and we're just going to look at what this Ramattra player can improve on. So right now he's just using a speed boost to get out of spawn. Not a bad idea since it comes back on in 8 seconds. Always gets you to the fight quicker. We're going to try to pick what side of the point we're going to push on. So I think we kind of engaged on that fight a little too early. Remember, as Ramattra, we want to be expending resources before we go in. On paper, Reinhardt will do more damage up close than you will, just because you're, only at 450 health to start the fight, and then you get 200 armor once you transform, but you can only be transformed for, I think it's 6 seconds. And so instead, probably would want to distance yourself from the Reinhardt a little bit, maybe give him some space, break his shield a little bit more, just so that your team's able to follow up more on the damage before you actually go with that engage. So instead of just fighting Reinhardt here, where we might want to fight him, maybe if we played over here and poked out and using this cover a little bit more, or looped around here when we saw that the Reinhardt was coming this way and took out his backline, maybe that would have been better, and then only transform once they actually pushed into us, rather than taking the fight, because we do have range over Reinhardt. I think that would have been probably the best call. We're also, as you can see, kind of in the open here. So we're just taking a lot of shots from the Cassidy, the Hanzo, the Baptiste, and their whole team's playing around cover, so our team actually can't help with any of that follow-up, and that's why Reinhardt is taking almost no damage from that fight. So it looks like we swap over to Winston really quick. It's probably going to be a little bit better. We're going to be looking at people to dive. Han is a diveable hero. Hanzo can be. We do need to group up with our team though, since we did lose a good bit of them. And it looks like we instead just stagger more. Our entire team is back here. There's 2 people in spawn. You have a Genji, your Hanzo's up here. So that we should have just waited until it got closer to capping, and then hopefully by then our supports would actually be in the fight. So they now basically have first point for free because of staggers. So now we definitely need to group up with their team. It's like they're not dying off, so that's good. Hanzo's in trouble. Same deal. Winston's going to be more of a champ that needs to wait for people to start using abilities and trading resources to actually engage on the fight. Otherwise, you will just get, kind of destroyed. So instead of maybe going for this engage, Cassidy up on the high ground might have been a better option. So instead of taking this fight here, which we didn't really need to do, you could have just stood here and started using your Tesla cannon. They couldn't have assisted much in that fight, because as soon as they rounded the corner, they were already starting to get Tesla cannon. So if instead of diving in here and using our shield and getting purpled, if we just stood here, it might have gone better for us, and then maybe we just drop shield. And then, unfortunately, we just get pinned, and then Nano comes out, and we died because we didn't have any of our safe resources because we used all of them on this engage when they had all their resources at them. So now it's kind of just ult economy. This next fight, they're going to have Shatter. They're going to have just about all their ults. We're going to have Nano Blade and Kiriko ult. So hopefully we'll be able to turn it with that. But first fights definitely can be a big impact in push maps. Okay, so Reinhardt fed. It's good. That Hanzo's low. We can probably get him. Unlucky. There we go. Nice. Something else you might want to take into consideration on Winston, he does have a animation cancel, so when you're diving in, if you actually melee and punch, right before you hit the ground, it will count, and he does 50 damage when he lands, so he can do an 80 damage burst combo with that. If you throw on his charge ability, 50 damage, now he does 130, plus his 60 damage a second that he does with his Tesla cannon, so he can burst you down pretty quickly if he does get on you. It's a good counter dive. That's very good. Yeah, we just clean up here, I think. Don't be afraid to go in on deep dives, especially when you have your primal. Okay, so there I think we were just a little too timid using our primal. We have to remember primal is our big ultimate that allows us to go for deep dives. When you use it, it resets you to 1,000 health, and then you can dive further in, and you get your jump every, I think it's 2 seconds, but it might be 3. And again, every time you land on someone, it's 50 damage. Every time you hit them, it's 30. So you can really stack up and do a lot of bursting on squishies with that. Good nano blade. Genji's popping off. Hashtag nerf Genji. If you guys want to type hashtag nerf Genji in the comments below, that way I know that you guys watched it. So yeah, it looks like we're gonna cap. This is good. We might want to stage for deeper dives. I wouldn't be afraid to like right click poke them either, just to get some abilities out too with your right clicks. That was a bad jump. There wasn't really a target there. We were just jumping to jump. Instead of just jumping to jump, you'd rather just want to hold the corner maybe. When we are primaling, we need to think of a good target to actually jump on. So we kind of just popped our ultimate without actually having a game plan there. Probably the best person to jump on is going to be this Ana here, since she doesn't have much for you except for a sleep dart. The other options we could have done is maybe chase the Cassidy or the Moira away. But really, I would be saving primal for when I want to go on a deep engage on the Ana. And then if she wastes her sleep dart or I block it with my shield, I'll pop primal and then I'll finish her off. They'll have a healer down, and then hopefully I can come back with that primal and start disrupting the Orisa or something. You just want to make sure you have a game plan when you're using ultimates and abilities. So that looks like Winston's not working out. So I guess we just popped our ultimate just to pop it, which is cool. We're going back to Ramattra. Hopefully we do a little bit better. They are playing a brawl comp though, so I don't know if he is going to be the best pick, just because they do have more brawl than we do. And it looks like we are just getting stomped on as I anticipated. We did a bad spawn there, so we actually didn't want to go into the fight immediately. We probably wanted to back up and group up with the rest of our teammates. Unlucky. That's just a really good play by them. There's not much that you can do about that because you aren't a tank that can, you know, really block Death Blossom as well. You also did kind of use your shield early, so I would have just said hold on to shield if you knew that they were going to Nano Blossom there. Which you could get if you were, I guess, alt tracking, but seeing as you guys are kind of losing a lot of fights, it's tough to know what alts they do have on cooldowns. So I would assume that they would have High Noon, Orisa ult, and Coalescence, since I didn't see those alts. With the replay viewer, we see that they just have High Noon, but we should be wanting to situate ourselves to try and avoid the Cassidy, or at least know where the High Noon's gonna come from, so that we don't get caught in it. That is unfortunate. We almost got the Orisa. The tough part about Orisa is she is going to be a tank that you kind of need to focus the rest of her team down first. A good ultimate. I do like that. I think we win the fight because of that. Very good. So now we're going to push this back, get that quick spawn. Not everyone should stand on the payload. You do have one that's coming back, so maybe prolong this fight a little bit. Wait until that Ana shows up. You don't want to be going into this fight too much. Even if you have to give up Robot just to get your 5 men connected, that is better than taking a 4v5 and losing everyone, and now you're staggering in push. Big nano boost. See if Genji can pull through again. Very good shield to block the Death Blossom. It doesn't look like the Nano Blade was enough, unfortunately. Yeah, we lost that fight, I think, because we got one of our teammates got picked early. And we lost our Reaper early this fight. We need to stop looking at the Orisa. Orisa's not going to be the person we focus fire on. She's just going to get too much resources with her spear, her fortify, her teammates just being able to heal her through all that. Not to mention bonus health. Orisa's just not going to be a good option. You instead would want to pick off either the supports or the damage. We do have our ultimate coming on. Maybe we can change something here. Good. Big ultimate. Yeah, that was definitely the time to use ultimate. So we're going in overtime here. It's going to be very crucial. Hopefully you can get a pick here before they actually group up, because it will just allow us to snowball in overtime. Remember, they get longer spawns, so if you can get a pick early, it just means that they're going to have to take longer to actually group up. That coalescence is rough. Ooh. Yeah, so they just win because they have ults over top of you guys. You had to use all your ults on the last fight in order to turn it. And now we're just going to swap ball to stall. That's fine. And unfortunately, we don't get it. So things we need to work on. You can be a little bit of a better tank. You want to always have a game plan when you're going in for these engages. You never want to be caught out kind of using your abilities just to use your abilities. If you are going to play Ramattra, remember you want to poke some people down before you actually swap to your power mode. His Nemesis form is more of a disengage or a sustain, kind of like a Junker Queen shout, rather than a I'm going to go in and beat you up. I think you only do 50 damage a punch too, which is, you know, kind of small considering the fire rate. If you are trying to just beat people up close, you'd rather just play Reinhardt with the 85 damage on his hammer swing. I think we definitely need to work on some combos, especially the Winston combos. But I'd say that, yeah, the main one is to come up with a game plan and maybe think of enemy ultimates and how we can use our abilities to stop enemy ultimates. There are a lot of times where the enemy just used a couple combos, and because we didn't have the abilities to stop those combos, we didn't actually plan to stop them. Oh, and grouping up. Grouping up's a big takeaway. There were 3 or 4 fights in the beginning that we just were staggered because we didn't group up with her team. So I hope this helps. Thanks for watching, and happy climbing.